I'm not even sure who he was or what he was doing. Well, he was a consultant for Air Force intelligence. He also worked over in Wright Field. Right.
I've
so
seen his name in some deeper files.
Yeah, his name is around. Yeah. And there's a lot of people here that are just more or less unknown who they were and what they were doing. That's just the small thing, you know. That's right. I just wrote on this. Robert Todd's files. He had what he called his red file, and it was a lot of it was about his correspondence with the National Archives. And he had a guy in there that was friendly to UFOs and helped him out all the time. And Todd was asking him, you know, can he look for these things? And he told Todd, he said, listen, we have just a very small staff here at the archives. It's just good enough for what we're doing here, helping people when they come to the archives. We can't undertake giant research projects for you. He said, frankly, I know where there's UFO documents in government files, but they're not, they're not readily where you can find them. They're intermixed in everything. And that's what I found when I went to the archives. The thing was, you just turn one page after another. You get boxes on Air Force intelligence or Navy, and you just turn pages, and then you find stuff. And we've got the material that's in big files. We've got that. We've got the like a flying disc correspondence for 1947. We've got the correspondence from 47 to 52. But you need to look in files like briefings, reports, investigations, and the way to do that is to sign that stuff out and turn one page at a time. And some days you might go for days without finding stuff, and then some days it's pretty good. And sometimes the archivists can give you hints about what might contain something. I found about the 1945, the Second World War, Hanford, just by turning over pages. And there's a thing about aerial intrusions at Hanford and the 4th Air Force, and was really upset about this, and they had no assets in the Hanford area, so they asked the Navy to intercept anything that came over Hanford, and they moved radar in there so they could find things flying around. And then the Navy we've got 3 pilots, interviews with 3 pilots that have now passed away, that they saw things at Hanford, that they were involved in interceptions. And the head of Hanford said that after the bombs were dropped on Japan, he gave an interview and he said, "Yeah, we had some kind of aerial intrusion at Hanford." This is the head of the organization, and right in August of 1945, he's admitting this to the press. So, yeah, I'm still here.
You need to get a drink of water?
Yeah. So, this material was not found by any we didn't have any leads. We didn't know what files to look in. I had a general idea of what files to look in, but once you get the files out, there's thousands and thousands of pages of documents, and they're not necessarily organized where you would find UFOs or aerial intrusion or anything like that. It may be just organized like with the Hanford situation, defense of Hanford. So, like I say, you have to look at things one page at a time, and there's not very many people that like to do that.
Well, it's like genealogists. We're going to have to come up with a name other than ufologist, internet researcher, or archivist, or volunteer, but have all of the above. And we're going to have to separate our space agency into those in interstellar, intergalactic, multidimensional, I guess, or interdimensional. But we need some on the ground, the boots on the ground. And it's been suggested that someone that help network and organize in Facebook, being that we have free social media access to each other, if our people have phones, if they're willing to use their computers, sort of like CSETI, but what we'll do is we will find each other first and get organized by state in the United States of America. And with these radio shows, we can connect to Australia and New Zealand and Norway and Russia or whomever, and apparently China as well, because they're some of my best followers when I look at my stats in Google or GoDaddy on my cPanel. But I've got to train a lot of people, and I used to train people in the Navy, with my little K-Pro and bring it in before we even had computers, really. We had Sun, and you remember the rooms, and that's where Ken comes in, because we've asked Kim to be our fleet commander just as a volunteer in these expos he goes to. He's going to one coming up, and we can sign up people that say, I'd really like to help and volunteer. So we've created this Allied Command organization. I have some feedback. Anybody hear it?
Yeah, I hear the squeaking on over here.
Oh, it's a little dog.
No, I don't hear it over here.
Oh, it may have been Ken. Well, we're all in the ACO, Allied Command, but Mad is helping. We got him to help in GoDaddy yesterday. I got him in on the cPanel to do a database with me. I still hear feedback, but we're going to do our best to support you as our lead historian. And I've got another gentleman that's going to help us. He's had plenty of experience in various government organizations. He's 10 years younger than me. His name's Richard Pruitt, and he spent many years at various jobs at air marshals. We work with a lot of pilots in and out, and Ralph Rodehag over in Europe wants to help. So we have people that can help us. It depends on their time and what country they're in. But we need a place where at least they feel like we've got a who's who directory. And then we'll try to do our best. I don't know if we'll be able to get grants or not with the space industry, but we're going to have people that are like historians. And you've seen how the best genealogists in the Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake, Utah, how they've built all over the world for people by names in genealogy. So what do you suggest, like you said, these codes, etc., for the joint? Because I've been used to working joint, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, but we've got the veterans. And then we've got those that came after I was in, which Desert Storm, I was 80 to 93. But we need to see, there's plenty of people that need jobs, no doubt. So, and there's plenty of people that need encouragement and something to do with their hands, especially if they're in our healing program through the cancer. And I spent a lot of time with the Cancer Society in Moffat because my daughter just died of cancer. And she was a true warrior. And the American Cancer Society put us up in a building next to Moffat Cancer Center. So these organizations can come together and work side by side, even if it's in the old buildings, but, we're going to cyberspace now. So somewhere we're still going to have, right now they're saying we're in the cloud. So you and Barry, can you help us form a think tank of various historians before they pass away? Because a lot of people just want to do their own family genealogy. Can we do, I don't know what we're going to call them, ufology research historians? Because we can do the Auxiliary Allied Command with all the different military that have retired. Me, Ken, and Ahmad here could tell you we're putting it together, but we're going to need a whole lot of other people. So we were planning on getting people together under ACO or UFO or both at these expos that Ken goes around. Put out, I guess, a piece of paper and say, put your name and your email here, and we'll try to get back to you, and put districts and states. Because you both guys are up north, and you can't travel all over the world helping people learn how to do this, but we're going to need some trainers. So I'm open to both of you guys' opinion. Like you said, we need some boots on the ground and some people willing to put in some elbows.
See, this is the United States. Everybody's independent. Everybody's got their own ideas, and everybody wants to be a general. Nobody wants to be a grunt. So that's what you got. Now, in Italy, they're 10 years ahead of us. When scanning first started, they said, all right, everybody in the organization get the same kind of scanners that are all compatible with each other. Then start scanning your own files and send it to a central area. That's long before we did anything like that in the United States. When the Italian Air Force let their files, opened up their files, they found that there were missing cases. So these guys went through the bureaucracy and located where these things had been pigeonholed or didn't get sent forward, and found out where they were and got them released. Of course, you can't do that in the United States because we've made an enemy of the government. They don't want to hear our stuff anymore, and there's so many conspiracy theories, it's unbelievable. I do have a long list of intelligence products I'd like to see. I got about 1,100. For a while, we were able to get some of them under the FOIA, but that is almost impossible. Some of these things I've had requests in for over 10 years.
Well, on the inside.
So, like I say, I've got 11,000, but I bet you, or 1,100. I bet you I could come up with a like number if I did some more research or had people helping me do research on these.
On the inside too, though, Jan. To be honest with you, I've been on both sides of that coin.
Well, the people that. At the archives, I used to deal with a fellow there that's retired Navy, and he was he had disability, but his mind was sharper than anything. And I would, I'd go down there and I'd ask him, where would I find this? And a couple of days later, he'd say, okay, why don't you look in this file here? So ship's logs and things like that. those kind of people are gone.
Great.
The people that knew about,